Hi, welcome to Wildcard FPL, your home for FPL content, and we're leading into Game Week 5 proper after the international break. Did you get Son in this week, seeing that he's left the pitch heavily strapped? Did you get an early transfer in, or have you held off? We're going to talk about who we've picked for this game week, our transfers, and whether we're rolling. So let's get right into it. Alf, are you ready to go through your team?
Yeah, absolutely. First off, for me, I'm picking Turner over Onana. Turner is home facing Burnley. A little bit concerned about United's defence, so going to go with that. Udogie, Chilwell, Estupinian defence. I have Henry coming off the bench if needed. I decided to go with Estupinian for his attacking potential. In midfield, I've got Rashford, Sterling, Bruno, Mbomo, Saka. I have Watkins and Haaland up front, so going to be captaining Haaland. That's how it currently sits, but I'm thinking if I want to play it a little bit wildcardy, I am looking at Maddison and I am looking at Alvarez, but I feel like this is going to be my team. I'll probably roll the transfer for next week.
You only have the one transfer, right?
Only one transfer, yeah. The main thing here is that I just don't have any major problems. I'm not so happy with having Sterling, if I'm being honest, but hopefully he can get something against Bournemouth. There's no real major fires to put out. Best for me to just roll, so that's where I'm at.
Awesome. Steve, how about you? What does your team look like? Are you making any changes?
I'm pretty much the same as Alf, not making any changes. Rolling transfers when you're not 100% certain what to do is a really good idea. Unless there's someone that you absolutely hate or need to get rid of, you can kind of just roll a transfer. Then next week, 2 free transfers is a really powerful move in FPL. We see a lot of players trying to chase transfers around, make one every single week. You don't need to do that. Pretty much my team is exactly the same as Alf's. Yeah, I think Turner versus Onana. Again, I'm a United fan. I don't like the defence in front of Onana. Is it going to be Johnny Evans and Harry Maguire? Who knows? Could be an absolute bloodbath.
Is it going to be?
Yeah, I think so. I originally had Estupinian on the bench for this one and Henry coming in. And again, I've made the same decision as you, Alf. I've got Estupinian in. I think United will score, hence why I'm keeping hold of Rashford and Bruno. But yeah, I think Estupinian, if there's going to be a Brighton goal, he's got as good a chance as any of actually creating something. Where he plays, he's going down Brighton's left, so Man United's right. That's where we're pretty weak. We're also pretty weak on the left and through the middle. It's not in great shape. Estupinian's going to probably curl it in and Matoma score or something like that.
It'll be fun to watch. It'll be fun to watch that. Yeah, I rate Van Bissaka's one-on-one tackling skills versus.
Yeah, I think it's good. I think he'll just be overworked. Yeah. He'll just have too much to do, and eventually they get through. Sterling's in there. I don't know what he's going to do. Jackson's in there. Chilwell's in there. We said already in our last video, hold on to Chelsea assets for the Bournemouth game. If that goes badly, then it could indeed be a fire sale. So that's what I'm doing, rolling this week.
I'm along the same sort of lines as both of you. I'm going Turner in goal. Slightly different reason having Steele. Steele is still a question on whether he's going to play any games or not, with Verbruggen starting the last couple. I'm maintaining my Chelsea triple up, but by God, do I not want to. And then I've got Saliba and Akanji in defence, leaving Estupinian and Henry on the bench. I quite like Arsenal's chances against Everton. Everton haven't been very good defensively so far this season, so I'm happy that I've got the 3 Arsenal players in there. But my sort of thoughts at the moment are keep the Chelsea players for the Bournemouth match, see what happens. I'll roll forward my transfer, and then I can get rid of 2 or maybe all 3 for a -4, giving myself as many options as possible this week. You would expect them to do something against Bournemouth, although they didn't against Forest. It's madness to burn that transfer now rather than use it next week when they have Aston Villa. So I'm going to stick with them and see where it goes. John, are you rolling like the 3 of us? Or have you got something else in mind?
Well, I think I'm slightly different in that I do actually have a bit of an issue. I've got Johnston and Steele as my goalkeepers, who both have direct competition now. I'm thinking about a transfer. I would quite like to get Areola in because he's cheap. I can actually make that transfer, but obviously he's facing Man City this week. Johnston's slightly more likely to be playing. I'm going to have a little bit of more research closer to the time, I think, to make a decision on keepers. I would like to roll.
If I had a similar goalkeeper crisis, I would probably be looking to Leno and taking a punt there, because actually I think he's probably going to be my wildcard keeper anyway.
And they've got Luton at home. That could be sort of immediate payoff. I've got Estupinian in there as well. Again, I've got Chilwell. He's probably likely to start still. He's the one that's a bit of a punt in defence because Pochettino has been making noise about tearing up Chelsea and playing different style, different players. Udogie, Sheffield at home. Looking forward to seeing that on Saturday. And then Saliba, again, away at Everton. Midfield, Saka at Everton. Foden, hopefully playing in attacking 3 with Alvarez and Haaland, getting a haul of points again. Rashford, not going to move him. Mbeumo, away at Newcastle, tricky game, but he scored again in the international fixtures. And then I've got Alvarez and Haaland up front. If West Ham do a job against City, it could be a bit of a nightmare. That's my starting team. Then I've got Steele, who's not playing on the bench. Wissa would be my player to come in if Chilwell didn't start. Richarlison I need to get rid of. And Botman is orange Doritoed.
That takes us nicely on to our next thought. For those of us are rolling, if you had to make a transfer this week, where do you think you would go in terms of players that are hot right now? Is there anybody that you'd be sort of desperately looking to pick up, or is there anybody that you're sort of desperately looking to get rid of in the short term?
If I had to, keeping in mind that Son is completely fit, I would probably be tempted into a move into Son. I can afford a straight swap Rashford to Son or Bruno. Rashford or Bruno would probably be the only ones I'd be looking to get rid of. Saka's still providing some attacking returns, which is good. I could afford to go from Eze into Maddison. If I had to make a transfer, it would either be Eze or Rashford going into Son or Maddison.
And Alf, is there anybody you've got your mind on?
I have been playing with the idea of getting in Alvarez for Watkins, but Watkins' fixtures are about to get pretty good, so I think that would be a bit of a mistake and quite knee-jerky, which is something I'd like to try to avoid. But Alvarez is killing me. He's killing my rank, so I am very keen to get him in. And then also, I was thinking about doing Sterling for Maddison. My philosophy around FPL, I'm not going to get a player in for 1 week and then get rid of him. It's just against my rules. So I'm not going to do that. But there is a part of me that's thinking Maddison's going to continue to go up in price, and I think eventually I will end up having him. I would probably be doing Sterling at this point. I like the potential of Bruno. I like the potential of Rashford. Sterling is a concern, so I'm hoping the next fixture he does something. But
yeah, I mean, just talking about Watkins, you've had Watkins, I think, from the first week.
From the beginning,
yeah, while he's not necessarily been hauling, he has been bringing in some consistent goals. And Aston Villa's fixtures are looking like they are going to get better. I mean, you're looking at Alvarez with some envy, as I'm looking with my Jackson 3 yellow card and a one-time show up, thinking that Watkins looks like a slice of fried gold in terms of players to swap. I mean, I'm certainly looking at Sterling to Maddison or Sterling to a Spurs midfielder. My forwards are causing me an issue. I'd definitely take 15 or 20 points from Watkins right now rather than Jackson's returns.
Yeah, I hear it. And that's the thing. If you've got a player who's not doing really well, he's not doing anything wrong. He's just not doing anything really good. And when you have a player who's, 8 million from the beginning, it is a little bit disappointing. But you do need to look at the points, and he is actually doing okay-ish. He's not a problem. And it's going to be one of those things. Classic FPL, it will be taking him out and then him getting 2 or 3 goals in the next game. I'm just not prepared to go through that mentally.
Yeah. And John, if you didn't have your goalkeeper problems to deal with, are you looking for more Spurs players swapping Richarlison out, or are you thinking somewhere else?
If I sold Richarlison, I'd have 7.7. Potentially, if I swap my keeper, Johnston, for Turner, then I would have the cash to do it. I'd love to do that. Everyone else, I hate to say it, pretty happy with. I feel like Bowen would be points chasing, but I think West Ham look pretty good and Bowen looks pretty good. Maddison's the move because everything's going through him. Spurs have some difficult games, but in Postecoglou's new system, you think Spurs will still score, and it'll probably be a Maddison goal or assist. So
yeah.
I'm really thinking about it because I'm stuck with Richarlison, and I actually think I've got to get rid of him. And should I -4 because Maddison could just sort of pay for himself in one game. That's what I think, especially at Sheffield. But we'll see. The keeper issue is my number one priority to sort out.
Yeah, why mess with a working system? You're already in the top 100,000. We don't need you in the top 10,000.
Yeah. I mean, I could leave the keepers.
I forgot that I had Sterling. So if my transfer, if I had to make one this week, it would be quite simple. It would just be Sterling to Maddison. It's not.
I think that's what I'd be doing if I was making a transfer. I actually might make that transfer. Yeah. There is a part of me. I'm going to roll because, like we said, like I don't like getting rid of people just before they're about to. Yeah, well, but also, it's likely that Chelsea will go there and score some goals and win the game. That's quite likely. I think it would be a really strange decision to take people out before that game. I always think you got to be happy with your decisions when you've made them, even if they don't work out right. You kind of go, yeah, I did it for the right reasons. So they're playing an easy game. Bournemouth conceded a ton of goals. I did it for the right reason. But as I said, game week 6 will be an absolute Chelsea fire sale. There will be -4s happening. All 3 of them will be gone. But yeah, we'll wait and see. Part of me almost wants that to happen. Bournemouth to win so that we can just go, right, game week 6, the Chelsea fire sale, go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone, Maddison, for sure.
Unencumbered to do it. Yeah.
Yeah. So 3:30 on Sunday, everyone will be selling all their Chelsea players before the prices go down. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see.
Have to make an early transfer because I've been hit a few times. I can take it every now and then, but I've taken so many punch in the guts with Gabriel and all sorts of things going on with me that I can't take all three Chelsea players. You just know that the transfer of hate will come out, and those three Chelsea players, it'll just be all blue. Chelsea. That would be quite funny, actually.
Especially because by that point we'll have seen Spurs play. So if Maddison's had a hat trick, Bournemouth 5-0 Chelsea, you've got to. I mean, it's going to be a hard time not making that transfer because he's just going to be throwing money away at you at that point.
I love the way also one other thing to note is that we always seem to talk about Chelsea. Have you noticed that? Like the past 3 or 4 game weeks, it's always just Chelsea. And it just goes to show how crazy that club is, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's it, isn't it? It's like they've spent £1 billion. They've had one of the easiest starts to the season of any club. So you're like footballing brain is like, I must it's Chelsea.
Yeah.
I must, and they're playing Bournemouth, and they've spent £1 billion. Like, if
and they got Poch, and they got Poch,
and they've got Pochettino. You come out of a coma. It's like, quick, can you do my fantasy team for me? You just get him in, but I don't know. I'll be watching.
I mean, I'd say the majority of me is hoping for Sterling to score 4 goals and
Yeah.
Jackson to go absolutely crazy. He can still get his customary yellow if he fancies it. As long as he bags a few goals or assists, I'll be happy.
That's the mental burden that FPL puts on you, isn't it? All of the players and teams you hate, if they're in your team, you just want them to score anyway. Obviously, for us, we have an extra bit of incentive to watch the Chelsea game because we have the egg bet going on. If you don't know what the egg bet is, you can click in the corner somewhere and find out. The Bournemouth game kind of has to go Chelsea's way, or else it's going to put a major spanner in the egg bet from the get-go. So yeah, we'll all be watching that one with interest, I'm sure. So that takes us on to transfers in and out ahead of game week 5. Obviously, people have had 2 weeks to make their decisions, and like we spoke about last time, Son is now up to nearly 500,000 transfers in, although we've seen him hobble off the pitch with a thick amount of bandages around his leg. And Jackson, obviously a lot of people have lost faith in Chelsea before we have, but Jackson is the number 1 transfer out. Going on the theme of Fantasy Flight League, does this mean we're going to see no Son this weekend and a Jackson hat-trick? What do we think? John, are you hopeful Son's going to make it into the team?
I've only seen, one photo on Twitter of him limping out, but I think it's a big question about whether he plays in that centre-forward position with Brendan Johnson coming in from Forest. So, yeah, as much as I'd like to get Son in, I'd like to see how the Spurs attack ends up setting up for the next week. Son is one of the most expensive players in the game, so 480,000 people will have made some pretty major surgery to their team to get him in, which seems spicy to me. Don't know what you think.
And Alf, I know you were saying you like the look of Alvarez. It looks like people are selling Jackson, Wissa and some Watkins to get Alvarez in, and also a bit of Evan Ferguson. What do you think about that?
Firstly, don't make any transfers now. Like, stop doing that would be my first thought. It's insane. I don't get it. We talk about it every week. Sure, you might be able to get someone for like 0.1 million less than 3 or 4 days later, but it's just not worth the pain of someone getting injured and them not being able to play that next game week. So I find it a little bit funny. I would love Wissa. Does it make sense that he's getting sold? Unfortunately, people are making decisions and they're getting burnt for it. And I'll say it again, this is why so many people end up leaving the game after game week 5. They're making decisions that are going to cost them in the future.
Ferguson is still on that yellow Dorito, didn't play in any internationals, so he's a doubt for this weekend for all of those managers who've brought him in. It's tough out there, guys, in the early transfer department. I know it. You all know it. We've all been burnt before. But have you made your transfers already, or are you thinking about rolling? Let us know. We'd love to hear. You can let us know in the comments down below or on Twitter. As usual, our handles will be floating around somewhere or in the description below. But we're looking forward to seeing some more football, and we're looking forward to seeing the first outcome of the all-important egg bet. So make sure you hit subscribe. Don't miss out on the next video, and we'll see you next time. Cheers.